Hey, I wonder if we are live. I'm trying to see if we're live, you guys. If anybody's there, it says live was interrupted, but I think it's live. So do me a favor. If you're there, like do a wave. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning. Um, Yay. Okay. Okay. I know it's working. Wonderful. Perfect. So I am so happy to be here this Sunday morning, even though we're a couple minutes late, but this is Banter with Beth. Thank you for coming this morning and sharing your Sunday morning with me. We're super excited about this podcast because we get to share all the different people along the way as we've been making our film, Would You Hide Me? And we're trying to raise a lot of awareness about the movie. You can follow it on wouldyouhideme.com or bethlane.com or right here on Instagram, Bethlane Film. But I've met amazing people along the way making this movie. And my guest this morning is one of those amazing people. And his name is Stephen Edwards. So I'm going to ask Steve, oh, hi, good morning. Oh, great. Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Julie. This is wonderful. Thank you for tuning in this morning. So I'm going to bring my friend Stephen Edwards on. Let me invite him so he can join us. Hang on here. No, I don't want to comment. Oh dear. Oh my goodness. Wow. Let's see. Okay, there's Stephen. And gosh, this is my fault. I always do this from my iPad, and today okay, let me just try this. Stephen. Okay. There we go. I do it from my iPad, and this morning I'm doing it from my iPhone, and it's like a little bit different. The interface is just a little different. So let's see if Steve is going to join us here. But yeah, all right, let's just give him a second. But in the meantime, I will share with you guys my handy dandy teacup this morning. I love my little teacup because it says, as you can see here, easy like Sunday morning. So happy Sunday morning to everybody. And the little tag on my tea this morning says, are you ready for this one? Talking to plants is one way of talking directly to spirit. So that's our little, I guess that's going to be our little task, our little spiritual task for the day. And I never even knew this, that there was a little quote on the back of every little tea bag thing. So it says, Stephen's unable to join. Okay, let me see what I can do from my end to see why it's not joining. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I'm trying it again. Oh, wonderful.
Hey.
Great.
Thanks, Bella.
Oh my gosh. Okay, your daughter is the lifesaver of the
Yeah,
morning.
Bella has saved the day again. I'm moving my way into my studio so I can actually talk with you and not have dogs trying to bark and do things.
Right. No problem. Take your time.
Okay.
Okay, good morning. Happy Sunday morning to you.
Happy Sunday.
How are you?
Great. I have been working crazily, and I have never stopped during COVID. I seriously have not taken a single day off.
I think what we're actually experiencing is we're all working harder than we were working before. There seem to be kind of boundaries and rules and the excuse of, going out for dinner and going to the gym and stuff like that. And since those things are just gone,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm pulling easily 18-hour days. And lucky, because I'll go to sleep at 9 or 10, and I can't go back to sleep after like 3:34 in the morning. I'm just up. Is that what's happening to you too?
The one thing I do is play golf because they let people play golf. But,
yeah.
I joke with my friends that I play golf. It's like, you're not going to a movie. You're not going to a Dodger game. You're not going to an LA Phil concert. You're probably not going to your friend's house for dinner. So all that stuff is gone. And so, once in a while, I'll go out to dinner to a restaurant and sit outside, but that's kind of it.
That's it, right?
So it's hiking and golf and work is kind of my jam right now.
Yes. And we did go to a Dodgers game. We went to the World Series in the parking lot for a drive-in Dodgers game.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people doing that, by the way.
Right. And then the other night, so I don't know if I've told you this, but we bought a place in Ojai. So we've put our house on the market in the Palisades. And so this is a big plug to buy. If anybody needs a house in the Palisades, we got one for sale. But we are up in Ojai now, and we went to the Ojai Film Festival parking lot, the high school parking lot, for a drive-in movie there. So maybe drive-in movies are going to be the way of the future a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I want to tell everybody about, I kind of prefaced before you came on that I was inspired to do this podcast because, of course, I'm making my movie, but I've met so many amazing people along the way, and you're one of them. And we met through Peter Best.
Correct.
And then we learned that we also had connections, I think, through the United States Holocaust Museum, or there were other connections that we had. But I am incredibly inspired by what you've done. You're a composer.
Correct.
You've composed, extraordinary motion pictures. I've also been learning that you didn't tell me this, but you're a writer too. Like, you've written tons of TV episodes and films and stuff like that, right?
I have not. Well, I guess you could say I was the quote unquote writer on my first doc, Requiem for My Mother.
Okay.
Which is, basically was a recut. So I basically did a page one recut of a film that was recut by another director called David Howland. And so then we presented it to PBS. They said, we love it, but we can't air it shot this or cut this way. You have to cut it this way. And they gave us a list of 10 things. Mm-hmm. And I basically went through and recut it. And I was also the narrator.
Right.
So,
which is a beautiful movie, by the way. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is the other connection I'm so excited to tell you about, and I can't believe we didn't know this before. We share a very dear friend in the name of Ken Fisher.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of my documentary about my mother, Ken Fisher and my mother were great friends. And the real irony is, not irony, but the great thing is that they moved into the childhood house of one of my best friends.
Oh,
that they're still in today. That I used to walk through every day from my house when I was a kid. I mean,
wow.
I've been going there since I was 5 years old.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of bodies.
Every nook and cranny of that house.
What's that?
Every nook and cranny of that house.
100%. And the family, I just talked yesterday to the guy whose name's Chuck Coughlin, who used to live there, who grew up there.
Wow.
So, yeah, lots of tight connections there.
For sure. And Ken, I've known Ken for decades through Interlochen, that whole connection. He and my mom, I think, were both on the board at the same time. And then I went to U of M, but he didn't come to Michigan until I had graduated. So we didn't get to share our time in Ann Arbor together, but my 3 kids went to Michigan. And so he got to know them, they got to know him. And he'd run us up to the bell tower so we could actually play the bell tower. It just,
bring your
extraordinary human being.
Bring your earplugs.
Right.
It's a loud sound.
Yes.
So
but let's talk about your movie that you. Oh, sorry.
Ken's wife.
Yeah, Penny.
Played at my mother's funeral because my mother was also a flutist.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, that's how tightly that little circle is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I played piano and she played flute. So yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yep. The real thing.
It's all about music, right? Yep. I mean, it's the universal language for sure. And yeah, so Requiem for My Mother is a beautiful, beautiful film. I enjoyed it so much. Let's talk about Syndrome K.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I've been leaving little breadcrumbs for people saying, I'm not going to tell you about Steven's movie. All I'm going to tell you is that there's a virus involved.
Well, the ultimate irony, I'll tell you the story and you decide the irony for yourself. But this is a story of 3 doctors in a Catholic hospital that made up a fake disease that saved Roman Jews from being deported by the Nazis to Auschwitz. It's a true story. And the irony of it is that I'm making a film about a fake disease in the middle of a pandemic, which of course I didn't realize because I started the project in April of 18, or, you know, in early 18, basically, because I did a flight to Rome to interview a couple of the survivors. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, who would have ever guessed?
Right.
No.
And of course, you're making this film about a fake disease during a time when we have something that is far from fake, as real as it can be.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you have any family members, I hope not, that have been affected by it, but.
Oh, sure. I think everybody, at this point, everybody is somebody that has been positive or.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. I have an aunt who's suffering from it right now. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's no fun.
Yeah. And it's very scary. So this whole thing about a hoax is just kind of perplexing to me. But let's really talk about how you came to make Syndrome K, how you came to know about the story. I knew about the story just through my research and so forth, but obviously I'm so focused on what I'm doing right now that I couldn't possibly, you know, I don't have the bandwidth to do anything else. So how did you even come across the story? What inspired you to make a movie about it?
Well, you're the second person I've talked to ever that knew about Syndrome K.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is extraordinarily rare for somebody to know about the story, because it's really, this is what my distributor calls a secret story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and those secret stories like yours is gold, because that, you know, it's so many stories have been told about the Holocaust, about World War II. You know, there's less of them all the time. In this case, I was basically trolling through Facebook one day, killing time, looking at cat videos and, you know, just Facebook. And two musician colleagues of mine had posted this kind of a meme about the story. And I was like, wow, extraordinary. One of them was a Roman composer. And so the first thing I did was like, wow, this is great. And, you know, ironically, my first film took place in Vatican City too, Requiem for My Mother. I was actually shot in the city. And I'd become a citizen of Italy since all of this, because my mother was Sicilian.
Oh, great.
I carry 2 passports, and so do my daughters. But so, you know, I just, you know, when I saw it, I remember so clearly. It was this sort of aha moment. And my brain started to race at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And the first thing I said was, okay, I want to see this documentary. I've got to see it. Then I went to Amazon, Hulu, DirecTV, Netflix, looking for this film that I was positive would be there.
Sure.
And I just couldn't believe. I mean, I've done this a couple of the times with documentary films, looking for my next subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, somebody did it. Somebody already did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely floored that nobody had done the film yet. I couldn't believe it, because the story is just too good. I mean, it's got the greatest villain in the history of film, Nazis. It's got infantry, spies. You know, it's Rome. What's better than Rome?
Right.
And so, you know, the next thing I did was start emailing. I emailed my picture editor, Greg Hunter, who did the first film, and I said, "What do you think about this?" He goes, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" You know, and everybody that I started to email in this chain said it was amazing. Then I found a Roman Jew who was a journalist through another American who had done a fair amount of stuff with Shoah and Jewish Film Festival over there. So we got in touch with her. We were looking for survivors, and we knew that one of the doctors died in 1961, Dr. Borromeo, who's the head. Mm-hmm. And then the second doctor, Dr. Sacerdoti, died around 2000. We're still not sure. We still haven't found his death certificate yet, but he died around the year 2000. And the third doctor, Dr. Ozacchini, we couldn't find any death certificate or notice or articles or anything about him. And, you know, he's in Parliament. He was a pretty well-known Roman. So we were kind of like, well, what's up with that? And she said, oh, no, he's still alive. He's 98. He's living in Rome. And we were like, okay. And so, will he sit down with us? Yeah. So I got on the next flight and flew over. And then we interviewed Ozacchini, and then we interviewed Borromeo's son, Pietro, who was in his 80s. And then we interviewed 2 guys, Soninos, who were survivors who were living in Rome. So everybody we interviewed was in Rome. Nobody speaks English. And so she was, you know, Ariella speaks beautiful English. So we basically gave her questions in advance and went to see them all and sat them down and interviewed them. And then Ozacchini, who was 98, and Borromeo, who was in his 80s, both passed away in February of last year.
Oh,
so
shame.
So it's remarkable that we got him on film. So that we went when we went. You know, Ozacchini was full of piss and vinegar still at 98.
Yes.
Still hates the Nazis and
Good.
It-
I mean, I saw an early cut, or which cut did I see? I'm curious to know if anything has changed since the cut that you showed me several months ago.
Did you see the 52-minute cut or the hour and 15-minute cut?
I don't remember.
Was it in Italian with subtitles?
That's a really good question. I think it was. I think
Okay.
it was. Yes. Yeah, because
The version of the film that's going to be seen by most people is a new cut. It's a 52-minute cut. It's a TV cut.
Okay.
So we've sold that cut throughout Europe. So starting in January, it's going to be on in Spain, England, France, Germany,
Awesome.
England, China, Japan, South Africa, Israel. I mean, it's going everywhere. And
Sure.
the only territory we haven't sold is the States. So we're figuring out the States right now.
So we need to make sure that everybody who tunes into Instagram Live today or watches the episode on IGTV after the fact, they know that this is a film called Syndrome K, just the letter K,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been made by you, Stephen Edwards,
Right.
a world-class composer and musician. And this is your second documentary film.
Correct.
You've got distribution all over Europe, and it's time to get distribution in the States.
Yeah. We're talking to PBS right
Yeah.
now, so we'll see what happens with them.
Good,
So,
good.
Yeah.
Tell me, you've had really great success with film festivals, even here in the COVIDian era. How's that going?
It's really, COVID, we all lost a lot with COVID. And one of the cool things that I lost was a lot of travel this year. So in January, I flew to Miami, to the Miami Jewish Film Festival. It was really the last trip I took. And we did a screening, we did a Q&A, and it was packed. And the screening we did before that was the first festival we played, which is Heartland Film Festival in Indianapolis. And we had 4 screenings, all 4 were sold out. Well, we had 2 screenings originally, and they sold out both of those. So they added 2 more. So we did 4 screenings in 4 days, and they still had more demand. They didn't have any more screens. So there's a real robust interest in this story because I think people just love World War II stories, especially what they call secret stories that people just don't know. And this is definitely one of them. I mean, just for example, when we went over to Rome and interviewed these folks, we walked around the Jewish ghetto, which is, there's the Tiber River and there's the Jewish ghetto. And then the other side of it is Tiber Island, where the hospital still is to this day. And we walked around and talked to some elders in the Jewish ghetto, Roman Jews, and they'd never heard the story. So
Wow.
It's kind of remarkable how, I think there's a humility aspect here where the people that were involved just didn't want to crow about it. They just did what they thought they had to do, and they didn't spend a lot of time looking for credit.
I mean, it's very similar in that regard to what happened to my mother's rescuers. I mean, they literally took their story to the grave, to the point where their children never knew that they had hidden 7 Jewish children, and I'm talking about the farmers who hid them. Their children never knew, and the grandchildren never knew.
Wow.
And we met the grandson, had no idea until he got the letter from Yad Vashem saying, your grandfather's going to be honored and get this amazing, commendation in the Gardens of the Righteous. And I think that it's such an interesting conversation about true heroism.
No question.
That it is not about credit. It's
Yeah.
not about acknowledgement. It's about doing the right thing, standing on the right side of history, and how ingenious these doctors were.
And by the way, just the risk they took is hard to imagine. I mean, we have to remember in Rome, there were 1,500 SS troops inside the city walls. Basically the most fierce, ruthless, murderous, military force ever assembled by mankind. And these guys, all they had were armed with was stethoscopes and charts, So, I mean, if you think about the risk they took for themselves and the entire hospital staff.
Yes.
And there's a story that I didn't put in the movie because there wasn't contextually the right place for it. But, Rome was bad. I mean, Rome was like a third world country when the Nazis were there because people were hungry. There's one anecdote where you go to the Colosseum today and walk around, you'll see feral cats walking around. They just have all these cats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during that period, there were no cats.
Right.
So, but in one instance, it got so bad and people were so desperately hungry, these 10 Roman mothers broke into an SS bakery and stole flour, wheat, all the materials for making bread, yeast. And the SS caught them, lined them up on the Tiber, and machine gunned them. So, the reprisals that we don't need to go into the reprisals that the Nazis were capable of, because that's movie's been made 1,000 times. But the risk these people took to save people they didn't know, first of all, and to put the hospital staff in harm's way is hard to even fathom because of what the reprisals. So, and remember, there was a bombing in Rome where these partisans basically dropped a bomb on an SS brigade that was marching and killed 32 soldiers. And so Hitler's orders were to kill 10 Italians for every one that got killed. So they massacred over 350 people, including 14-year-old boys and priests. And it was just like, so, again, capable they were of revenge and how they just, that was the penalty. So it makes the story more extraordinary.
Right. And what's really incredible, so on Wednesday, when we have Banter with Beth again on Wednesday at 10, my guest is Stephen Pressman. And Stephen's a journalist. Do you know Stephen?
We did a podcast together.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Right. He told me that, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, so his film, Holy Silence, is really about what the Pope and the Vatican did not do.
Right.
In terms of standing on the right side of history, and that this is happening in their city.
Right.
And still not doing anything. So,
and again, my takeaway from that movie, and I thought Stephen just did a fantastic job on it.
Yeah.
And I've done a pretty deep dive into Pope Pius XII, who was the Pope you're talking about.
Right.
And we have to remember that Vatican City is a sovereign country that's surrounded by Rome, first of all.
That's true.
It's the size of an 18-hole golf course. That's basically, you can walk around Vatican City in 12 minutes. I've done it. And you also have to remember that the Pope had no army.
Right.
And, so he was in a position where there had been instances where he had spoken out, because remember, he lived in Munich. He lived in Berlin. He was a newspaper. He was like he was appointed by the previous Pope to live in Berlin. There was no love lost between him and Hitler, trust me.
I'm sure.
And, for him to, he couldn't send a bunch of Carmelite nuns with carbine rifles down to, saying it just, there was no way for him to do anything but through diplomatic channels. And remember, we have to remember that 80% of Italian Jews survived the Holocaust. And look no further than Poland to see that it's a few percent.
Right.
The numbers are staggering. It's hard to even fathom it, but Italy fared quite well in the face of, a Holocaust, literally.
Right.
So,
one of the questions I have for you is, since you were able to interview these doctors, did you ever ask them what it was in them that made them take the risk, how they did it? Where did that courage and bravery come from?
They just felt like it was, almost going back to the Hippocratic Oath. It was their duty to do it. And it didn't take a lot of milling about and thinking about it. It's just kind of what they did. And the only way their fight was successful was because they got to fight with science and with facts. And it scared them away, basically.
Right.
Because they're not going to, again, Ossicini was involved. The doctor we interviewed was actually involved in the defense of Rome when the German tanks came in. He had a gun in his hand and he was shooting at them, which is hard to believe. It's like taking a knife to a gunfight, literally, against tanks. I mean, his best friend was next to him and got killed. So, he knew he was willing to do it, but he was just smarter than that and look, he survived,
Right. What were some of the challenges that you discovered in filming when you were on set and when you were in Italy?
The trickiest part we had was just coming up with material. So Dr. Sacerdoti, who was one of the three doctors, there was only one interview, thank goodness, Shoah Foundation sat him down in the late 90s. I think it was 98 or 99. And he was a Jew practicing medicine in a Catholic hospital with fake papers, saving members of his own family. I mean, it's just like, I could not make this. If I made this story up, nobody would buy it.
Right.
Nobody would believe me. So fortunately for us, they sat him down and interviewed him, because it's the only, I mean, we found 4 pictures of him that exist in the world. He had no kids. He's got no heirs, never married.
Wow.
So I think without Shoah, we have no film, because Sacerdoti is the one who talked about, you know, and he says, you know, what the Pope did was extraordinary. His quote was, he really did amazing things to help save, even though people think it's not the most overt thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, what the church did, I think, is what the way Sacerdoti said it. So, you know, and that's, you know, Pressman's doc, I think, kind of covers that and does a really good job of being impartial and talking about all the stuff that happened.
It does. However, at the very end, I personally was very glad that he used Elie Wiesel's most famous quote, that, you know, neutrality only helps the oppressor, not the oppressed.
Right.
And, but more on that, you know, it's just, I think that the way that you crafted Syndrome K, the way you brought all the archival materials to life is so engaging and so exciting. And, you know, the younger generation, I don't know, your kids, my kids, and younger, they almost think of it as the Civil War.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago.
I know, and that was really what drove me to, was, I mean, it didn't make me make a film, but it really inspired seeing those studies that came out about how few kids know about the Holocaust.
Right.
And, so I was thinking, well, if I can just throw in this story in the present day and you know, do my version of it, that will help forward the conversation a little bit and, you know, tell a good story, which is, you know, it's a good story. There's no question.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And thank goodness that they did it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
I'm trying to make a documentary. I can't really talk about it because I signed an NDA about an iconic 60s group.
Cool.
I did a 3-hour sit-down interview with one of the founders, and now we've reached a snag where we can't go any further because management has blocked us, basically. So I'm not giving up yet, but the story is amazing. It's just like, you know, all the big names you can imagine are involved.
Sure.
You know, tangentially involved, and they're iconic, and, you know, and I'm trying to figure out a way to I'm not going to give. The one thing you'll know about me is I don't give up. And Requiem for My Mother took 7.5 years to get to the from the time we started, and Syndrome K was actually quite quick, from April of 2018 until it'll be, you know, airing starting in January.
That's phenomenal.
It's a short schedule for a doc. You know,
yes.
relatively speaking. And now we're making a feature film version of it too. So that's
good for you. Good
and
for
so
you.
What I tell people is that I think it'll actually make a better movie than a doc, because it's so compelling. I know better, but I'm just saying, you know, you can, with a movie, you can play facts and you can make a linear story, and it's you know, ours is a giant crossword puzzle. And
for sure. Well, no, it's true. I mean, my guest last week was Steve Brzezinski, and his family's story was not made into a doc. It was made into a feature, and it's fantastic. It's so good. You know, his mother's story is about his mother was 16 years old. She was a Catholic Polish housekeeper for a Jewish family, and of course the Jewish family was deported, and they gave her the keys to their house. They said, "Here, you take the house." And she hid 13 Jews.
Oh, wow.
She wound up marrying one of them. And he's the product of the marriage.
Wow.
So he has a foundation now called the Steffi Foundation.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a feature film, and I'm embarrassed to say that the name is escaping me. I'm so sorry, Ed. But maybe it will come back, and maybe I just should have more coffee. But Syndrome K is, in my eyes, just a fantastic film. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it, especially here in the States, since, you know, most of our followers so far here in the States. Hope to broaden our reach, especially to Germany. Yeah. And I want to thank you for spending Sunday morning with me. Thank you so much. How can people make sure they follow when the film is coming out in the States and how they can have access to it?
Well, like our Facebook page, Syndrome K. Also, we have a website, syndromek.com.
Great.
And we'll just try to update you. We're just kind of back channeling and trying to figure out where it's going to go and sponsorship and all that stuff. And then when it pops, it'll pop. You'll see it, and PBS will promote it. They'll be really aggressive about getting it. It might be APT, American Public Television, or it might be PBS.
Okay.
My first doc actually aired for 2 years on APT, American Public Television.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So so Recommend for My Mother, Syndrome K. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it. You can follow the release of it on Stephen's website, syndromek.com, or their Facebook page, Syndrome K. So check it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you back in the Palisades sometime soon, I hope.
Yes, indeed. We will do.
Good, good, good. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Okay, how do we turn it off? I don't know. I have to learn how to do this.